tonight's report, we will be looking at the issue of access to clean water. This is a large global issue, and we will later focus on Afghanistan, the world's country with the least clean water per person. For tonight's show, we will have a special report from a small organisation called the Water Awareness Group, who are hoping to make a difference by educating its viewers. In first world countries like Australia, access to clean water is considered a basic right and is taken for granted. Water is used generally without usage constrictions and can be found in any home, shop or city. It is readily available coming out through taps that are easily accessible to the population. However, in third world countries, this is not the case. Women and children are sent to walk for hours to collect unhygienic and unsanitary water. Water that has been collected from dirty, open water sources that are contaminated with numerous diseases, including, but not limited to, dysentery, hepatitis A, fluorosis, HIV or AIDS, and typhoid. In fact, water-related diseases kill over 3.4 million men, women, and children per year. That is nearly the whole population of Melbourne every year. A mother loses a baby every 19 seconds due to water-related diseases, which kill more people per year than cancer, strokes, and war. Access to water is a global issue that requires everyone to be on board. It can only start with the education of the issue to raise awareness. We are the Water Awareness Group, and this is our project.
As we can see here in the first map, we can see the distribution of water on a global scale. Developed countries such as USA, Canada, and Russia have high freshwater availability per person. Most countries in Africa have a limited water supply, as you can see from the map that water is scarce for people living there. Some well-developed countries such as China and India are also struggling for water supply. The red circle indicated on the map is Afghanistan, a country known for its water crisis. The reason behind this crisis is because how dry the land is. We can see that its neighboring countries, Pakistan and Iraq, which are both dry countries, are also experiencing water scarcity. The second map over here represents the percentage of people in a country that have access to water. As you can see here, most people in the world have access to clean water, but that doesn't mean that they have enough water to drink every day. If you look at Afghanistan here, you can see that according to the legend, less than 60% of the people living there have access to water.
The third map here shows how many people in Australia have access to clean water. Looking at the map, you can see that the Northern Territory population has the least access to clean water, with only 70%, and the most being the Australian Capital Territory with a full 100%. Australia seems to have little to no problems when it comes to water supply.
Water scarcity is a profound problem in many areas. As a result, 8 out of 10 people don't have access to clean water. As the high demands of water increase, the cost and effort to maintain access to safe water will grow. There are many reasons why water scarcity is a reality. For example, the overuse of water, the pollution of water, conflict, physical demands to retrieve water, climate change, and the governmental impacts over water. Many people without knowing overuse water on a high level. It may be overused on people, animals, land, or recreational activities. Nowadays, many developed countries, for example America and Australia, take for granted our easy and convenient access to fresh water. Water pollution is a massive contribution to the lack of water in some areas, especially in some places where there isn't necessarily a good sewage system. Pollution can range from anything like oil to toxic chemicals and to fecal substances. In countries where water is very scarce, people often get sick due to their desperation for water or thirst.
When there is a conflict happening, it is very difficult to access the water that is located there. An example of this is Darfur, Sudan, where genocide has been going on since 2003 and is still happening today. The dangers of collecting water are very high, as many never make it to the water source without getting shot or raped.
There are many areas in the world that struggle with water scarcity because there aren't any close areas that contain clean water. Areas that are dry or desert-like rarely have any access to fresh or clean water. Many women and children are forced to walk over 6 kilometres to collect water and end up losing their chance at education due to the amount of time wasted that could be spent in school.
The water cycle is very dependent on the climate. For example, if a drought was to happen, an area would not be getting enough rainfall. This then impacts land, as there isn't enough rainfall to sustain anything. Some unfortunate areas are in perpetual drought, which means there is a never ending drought, which leads to an insufficient amount of water to produce any life at all. In some countries, especially those with dictatorships, the use of water is strictly controlled by those with power. This causes a scarcity for those who don't necessarily have a say or have any power.
Now we're going to cross to the Balkh province in Afghanistan, where water scarcity is becoming a large issue for the local villagers.
In an isolated village in northern Balkh province, Afghanistan, Ali and his sister Sher Bano are forced to walk 2.5 kilometers every morning before school and again in the afternoon to collect water. Although they are young, only 10 and 11, they don't have time to do homework and their bodies hurt from carrying heavy buckets of water. Young children, not in any means or circumstances, have to push their developing bodies to the point of pain for human necessity of survival. During the summer, Afghanistan experiences shortages of water. This unfortunately leads to neighbouring farmers to erupt in disputes. These arguments are often an effect of not knowing when they'll receive a steady water supply. Furthermore, Sher Bano's father states that the price of water in our village is equal to fuel. Likewise, this causes an uproar amongst the neighbouring farmers and citizens. In contrast, in 2004, 93% of Australian households were connected to a main water source. 98% of households located in capital cities were connected to this water source, and 85% of households outside the capital city were connected to this water source. The largest difference of households being connected to the water source was found between comparing Hobart, which had 96% of households being connected, with the rest of the state only having 77% of households connected.
For environmental impacts, if there is less water in a country, there will be more droughts in the land. Trees won't be able to grow without water, and the temperature will rise because it won't rain. Cracks will also appear in the ground because it is very dry.
Humans will be more vulnerable to dehydration as there is no water source to drink from. People with diseases such as fevers need water in order to cure themselves. The lack of water results in many diseases being spread. This includes HIV and AIDS or diarrheal infections. In total, 315,000 children under the age of 5 die due to unsanitary water-related diseases per year.
Without water, factories around the world are facing economical trauma. For example, a pair of jeans needs about 2,900 gallons of water to produce. With a scarce amount of water, farmers won't be able to grow any crops, meaning the world will not only experience an economical trauma, but a hunger crisis as well.
All women, both young and old, spend hours every day collecting water from most likely polluted or unsafe sources. They carry a jerry that typically weighs 20 kilograms over the distance of 6 kilometers daily. Women, as a result, experience chronic fatigue and dehydration while collecting water. Pregnant women also suffer from miscarriages because of the physical demand of retrieving water. The time spent and the physical demands on women to collect water keeps them from employment opportunities to provide for their families.
People are looking to recycle water in order to reduce water scarcity. Countries such as Singapore have already started manufacturing recycled water, which the first recycled bottle of water was drank by their Prime Minister. Organizations have also suggested to install special tanks that gather rainwater for the process of irrigation. They have also suggested to use drip irrigation in order for more efficient watering of crops.
Many NGOs have tried to tackle the problem in different ways, such as funding projects, building clean water sources, and also by spreading awareness to the vast community that have not yet experienced the impacts of water scarcity. For example, Generosity.org has funded 778 projects and served 20 countries. When Generosity.org first started, over 1 billion people did not have access to clean water. Because of the global commitment to ending the water crisis, that number is now down to 663 million. Charity.Water have been working towards building clean water technologies and sources in 20 developing countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean.
This has overall benefited 6.4 million people around the world.
Bloodwater.org is an NGO that aims to end HIV/AIDS and the water crisis in Africa. They have served up to 62,000 patients in HIV prevalent areas and have 6 current core partners serving in local communities in Africa. First Project is the world's largest youth water organization. They've impacted 13 countries, raised over $8 million, completed 1,977 projects, and served up to 300,000 people.
It is evident that the lack of access to clean, hygienic water is threatening the future development in Afghanistan. It is expected that Afghanistan will just continue to experience more frequent droughts due to its improper water management and lack of proper government funding. This loop of having few sources of water will keep Afghanistan in a rut, as it cannot educate its people to make more money, as they need to spend their time collecting water. Without jobs that can help them make money, the people cannot afford to create a water resource such as a well. This is where we can help. Although people from countries cannot afford to create these sources of water that they desperately need, for $1,000 we can build a well that can dramatically improve the lives of up to 4,000 people. Countries such as Afghanistan might never be able to change unless we can help them. Clean water should be a right for everyone, and if we can increase the people's clean water, we can change their lives.